So lots of us have raised the question with Dorito. What's the obsession with the renewable green agenda bullcrap? Well, he's actually come out and told us now. And would you know, he actually says to us that the reason he's so obsessed with wind power, sun power, or replacing the existing coal stations is because you can't steal the sun and the wind, and you can steal coal. So apparently, we need renewables to protect ourselves against the ANC's theft. Actually, I can't argue with that. He has a point.
Yeah, in terms of like a base statement, that is pretty based. So the reason why we need renewables is because no one can steal the sun or the wind. Except, Mr. Durator, this is Africa. Like anything is possible. Literally anything is possible.
They're
So we have
like, yeah, hold my beer, watch me try.
yeah, and it has been tried, and we'll get to that in a second. But the question about sun and wind is not that the sun and the wind can be stolen, it's about the generation capacity of those things can be stolen. So, for example, during the peaceful protest in KZN last year, there was a shop called Macro, and what was stolen from Macro that shut it down completely? Well, the theft of all the solar panels in the parking area. So the sun didn't get stolen, but the ability to harness the sun's energy definitely was stolen. So I don't think the Rates has thought about this very strategically. I understand what he's trying to say, but of course he's wrong. But also, I think this statement shows he's sort of given up a little bit on trying to fight corruption in ESCOM to some degree, because just everything
Yeah,
just gets stolen. So fuck it, we need to do something else entirely.
that can't be stolen. See,
Yeah.
the problem that ESCOM has, and I think we all know the problem now, is that ESCOM's generation capacity is screwed, and it requires significant reconfiguration, either in the terms of fixing aged infrastructure or fixing supply contracts that are causing the infrastructure to age. In other words, providing coal that basically screws up the power stations and makes them go offline quicker and causes faults. So it has this kind of dual problem. There's not a lot he can do about aged infrastructure because South Africa's signed up to the green bullcrap, and we can't build new stations. And actually, in terms of creating new generation capacity, we don't really have any. What he can do is he can combat the existing supplier contracts and try to get decent quality materials, which is actually what he's been trying to do for a while. But every time he goes to these, he finds a problem, and that is that the supplier contracts are usually provided by gangster type individuals, usually with close affiliations to key individuals in the ANC. And the minute you disrupt that patronage network and you cause any form of, should we say, loss of revenue to the gangsters, well, the gangsters fight back. So what they do is they go to ESCOM and they break the existing infrastructure that's already breaking. And then they're going, can we give you our decaying crap now? And will you pay for it? And so it's a vicious circle. It's kind of like it's all going to break anyway because the infrastructure is broken. You need good quality stuff to try to keep it there for as long as you can. So they're giving you a stuff that just breaks it faster, but then when you tell them not to, they break it anyway. So he's onto a losing streak regardless of what he does.
Yeah, quite. And you also spoke about, for example, the fact that there's been arrests now due to the sabotage of power stations, and these arrests were conducted by private companies employed by ESCOM, not by
Mm.
SAPS. Interesting. Basically, exactly what we've been saying for the longest period of time. And he goes on the record to say that the ESCOM has to do its own investigations, has to apprehend the suspects themselves, and then hand him over to SAPS. So basically, they do all of SAPS' work until the handover, i.e., go to prison or court. So therefore, it seems to me that the green agenda for him is also weaning South Africa off of coal because you can't trust the coal suppliers. But on the other hand, they're not winning the fight against corruption in the coal sector. So, catch 22, you can steal coal, but you can't steal sunlight. Though I'm pretty sure once sunlight and wind generation is available, the breakages will just continue. I don't see why they would.
I have no doubt. And at the end of the day, you have to look at it and go, we all know what the downfall with wind and solar is. In other words, if there's no wind, there's no power. If there's no sun, there's no solar. And amazingly, there's usually no solar at night. So the reality is, even if you had uh, the whole country running during the day in peak sunlight, if you had the whole country running on solar, well, we're probably still going to need some form of backup generator in the shape of some coal power stations anyway, just to keep the lights on during the night. So we can't just go, okay, it's 100% renewables and nothing else. I mean, could you imagine the size of the lithium battery? Probably have to have one the size of the Karoo. And that in itself would, I mean, imagine the cost, imagine the environmental waste, and imagine the agingness of it. So I can't see that being a viable proposition to just have it as being renewables. But I don't think you get a more African story than this, do you? It's like, why have we got solar and all the other things that are there? Yeah, it's because, well, you can't steal the sun and the wind.
Yeah,
Based.
yeah, no, pretty based. So I cannot disagree with that. So yeah, let us know in the comments down below. Can you steal sun and wind? Will this actually solve anything? I don't think so. But
No.
this is Africa. It's alive with possibilities. Possibilities we might not have ever imagined in the first place, like giving donkey cards to people as a government beneficiation program. I didn't see that one coming in 1,000 years, but it happened.
Neither.
So
And we've already highlighted what the solutions to all of this would be. Many Russian nuclear reactors, stick them out of sea, have one for each of the freaking major cities. They'll power the cities for the next 100 years. We won't have any generation problems. The Russians can support it for us. We'll tell them, oh, we'll just overlook what you're doing in Ukraine, which we're doing anyway. So it will just be like, might as well get something from it. And then in the meantime, it's kind of like that will solve our electricity problems. But we can't do that because even though nuclear is the most green of green energy production materials, it's somehow still frowned upon. And we can't build new power stations in the form of coal like China's doing because whilst we are a communist government run by a bunch of dirty scumbag commies, they don't want to go out full commie and just be like the Chinese because they're not as efficient as the Chinese. In fact, they're nowhere near as efficient as the Chinese. So as a result, they're still trying to pretend to be like a Western nation with Chinese ideals. Just none. The electricity policy framework in this country is just a. It's like it was drawn up with a child with a crayon. I suppose that's the best way to describe it.
and it's run by a seal with flippers and no hands, very much so. So we know what the solution is: nuclear. There's no procurement for BEE now, as you well know if you watch this channel. So the city of Cape Town, if you are smart, you will get a mini nuclear reactor in the middle of the Camps Bay Harbour or wherever harbour you have. And Cape Town and the Western Cape will be load shedding free forever and ever and ever. Do you think they're going to do it? No. Because why? Global homo, climate change is real. We need wind dials and shit instead of like real energy. It's very frustrating, but welcome to Africa. Anyway,
Mm.
let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.
Take it easy.
Cheers.
Cheers.